Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a companion video. What are companion videos? Well, I'm awfully glad that you asked. You see, every day on the John Campea Show, Monday through Friday, we take time for live questions. But we don't always have time to get around to all the live questions that get sent in. But if those questions get sent in, I want to make sure they get answered properly in a video. So we gather up those questions and we address them here on companion videos. So without wasting any time, let's just dive right into getting caught up on these questions. And we're going to start off with Orange Grove 55, who wrote in, congrats to you and Harloff on your new shows. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you so much, Orange Grove. For those you don't know, Christian Harloff and I are launching 2 new shows together starting in November, the first week of November. One will be on the John Campea YouTube channel. One will be on the Schmodown YouTube channel. We're doing a show called Dark Side, Light Side, which is clearly a Star Wars show. And we're going to be doing that on the Schmodown network on Tuesdays, starting on the first Tuesday in November. And then on Thursdays, we're going to be doing a show called the Campea and Harloff Show. That's kind of a wrap-up of all the big news of the week. We're going to debate some of the bigger topics and things like that. And that will be on the John Campea channel. And we're very excited about it. And thanks for the well wishes, Orange. I appreciate it. We're really excited to get rolling with it. All right. Ryan Cleary writes, got 2 AVX seats. I have no idea what that is. To 4 seats for, I'm guessing that's Star Wars opening night, December 19th. I am pumped. Well, first of all, I don't know what UAVX is, but you do, and I'm just glad that you got your tickets for it, so congrats on that, Ryan. All right, David Harris writes, my biggest problem with The Last Jedi is that Luke just farts off. Why didn't we get to see Luke really kick ass? Can Disney ever give us a prequel level duel? Well, and I gotta say, one of the things I hate the prequels, but one of the things I do like, I've always talked about this, one of the things I like quite a bit about the prequels is the duels. It's funny because a lot of people who like the prequels don't like the Yoda fights. I hate the prequels, and I do like the Yoda fights, just as a matter of fact. But see, that's one of the problems, David. You can't, because I had this issue too, you can't go into these movies with predetermined script in your own head about what's supposed to happen. And the story didn't call for Luke kicking all sorts of ass. That's wanting a highlight rather than serving what's best for the story. Now, you may not have liked what they did with the story, and that's fine too, but I'm saying you can't build your movie around, we got to make sure we have these YouTube moments. You know, that's not how you build a movie. Now, if you've been following me for any period of time, you know I very much wanted to see Luke kick all sorts of ass. But we didn't do it. So I neither like nor dislike the movie just because it did or didn't do something that I wanted it to do. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. The one thing that the prequels did do well is those lightsaber duels. It'd be nice to see something that gets, close to that level. Honestly, the best lightsaber fight of all time, though, is the Luke Vader lightsaber fight in Return of the Jedi because it was infused with tons of drama and emotion in it. Whereas a lot of the duels in the prequels are just, let's fight with our laser swords. But they're choreographed beautifully. But if I can get a little bit of a mix of that, give me some of the dramatic elements of the Luke Vader saber fight with a little bit of the choreography that we got in the prequels, we'd be in for something pretty good. Arib Hussein writes, the trailer for Star Wars 9 was great, but was the weakest of all the trailers. They gave away the biggest reveals like Dark Rey and Palpatine already, so the final trailer felt underwhelming. But they already one card left up their sleeves. Knights of Ren. Where are the Knights of Ren? I got to be honest with you. No, look, I am curious. Arib, as anybody else, about what are we going to get with the Knights of Ren? Because we know the Knights of Ren are a part of this movie. That said, I never once felt like, even though I'm excited to see them in the movie, I never once felt like I need to see the Knights of Ren in the trailer. You know what I'm saying? They just haven't been an important part of the story up until now. Now, they may very well play an important part in this final chapter. But because they really haven't had a presence per se in this series so far, I never really felt the need to see them. It's funny, the same reason I felt like we did need to see a glimpse of Luke or a glimpse of the Emperor, and no, I'm sorry, behind the shoulder and getting a little glimpse of a dark cloak is not a glimpse of Palpatine. First of all, that might not even be Palpatine. We just don't know. But for the same reasons I felt it was important that we get a glimpse of Palpatine or Luke is the same reason why I don't feel it's important that we get a glimpse of the Knights of Ren, because they really haven't been a part of the series so far. If they had put him in there, great, but I never felt kind of bad that we haven't seen them so far yet. I like the trailer very much. It's just, as a final trailer, you should have at least... I have no idea what this movie's even about. I just don't know what this movie's about. After watching all the trailers and the final trailer, I should at least know, as a fan, what the movie's about. You don't have to give away all the spoilers. You don't have to spoil everything, but just tell me what the movie's about. That's all. Good trailers do that. And show some of the character interaction. Give some dramatic weight to what's going on. It's a very good trailer visually. I just wish it had more weight if they had just incorporated those things. Anyway, that's just my thought. All right. AJ Fairnot writes, have to disagree. This has gotten more people excited than those that were underwhelmed. Just look at the pre-sales, double Endgame's pre-sales. No, they weren't double Endgame's pre-sales. That was falsely reported. And those are the first headlines I saw too. And I even tweeted about it. It's like, oh my gosh, the headline is saying they doubled. They didn't double the sales of Endgame in the first hour. They had almost 50% more, but that's not double. 50% is not double. 100% is double. So let's just be clear about that. And yeah, that's great, but I don't attribute that just to this trailer. I attribute that just to the fact that it's Star Wars. And like I said, there are good things about I like the trailer. I do. I think it's a good trailer. It's a solid trailer. I just felt for a final trailer, it fell short in a couple of ways. So that's just me. That's just me. All right. Alfredo Pera writes, I think episode 9 pre-sales beat Endgame because the ticket buying servers were down during the first hours of Endgame and most people couldn't buy their tickets. Thoughts? No, actually, Adam Tickets talked about that. They said that it wasn't until after everything kind of got Kuba that really came into. So no, I really don't think that was part of it at all. But again, I think a bigger part of it, and we talked about this on the John Campea Show earlier, I think a bigger part of it is the fact that every few months, the number of people buying their tickets online in advance are growing. So you have more people today buying their tickets online in advance than you did just 6 months ago. And when Endgame came out, more people were buying tickets online when Endgame came out than they did 6 months before that. So I attribute more of that to that. It's still impressive. Don't get me wrong. It's still impressive that Star Wars has pre-sales numbers that high. That's great. That's good. That's positive. I'm just saying it's not an apples to apples comparison with the advanced numbers of Endgame because there weren't as many people at that time buying online tickets as there are now. And 6 months from now, there will be more people buying tickets online than there are today. And in another year or two, we're going to hit critical mass, but right now it's still an exponentially growing thing. So I attribute it more to that personally. Star Wars Episode 9 is not going to come close, depending on your definition of close. But Star Wars Episode 9 isn't going to come close to the opening weekend box office record of Endgame. But it's going to be big, and it's going to be massive. It just won't be Endgame, and I attribute a lot of it, these initial numbers, to the fact that we got more people buying tickets online. Let's see here. Captain Dirk Diggler writes, John, I thank you for recognizing C-3PO, and I know that he, 3PO, is used for comedic relief. It feels good that the world and Star Wars characters will have a new high regard for a beloved friend. Yeah, one of the things I gotta say, and I talked about this on the John Campea Show earlier, when I was watching the new trailer and we started to see that, oh, there's a moment of the trailer here that's going to feature 3PO. I'm like, really? Really? But then it played out, and it's 3PO, who has been around since Star Wars A New Hope. We're doomed. Right from there, right from the beginning, 3PO has been there. He's the first character we see on screen in Star Wars. He's been there right from the beginning. He's never really, and I didn't even think about this truly until watching this trailer. He's never really been given a moment. All of his moments have just been comedic relief. And that's great. He's 3PO. While I was annoyed at first that they were featuring 3PO in the trailer, by the time his segment in the trailer was done, I was like, yeah, that's actually kind of nice. My friends. I mean, it was really nice. And you know what? Long overdue. Now that I think about it, long overdue. So yeah, it was a nice moment for me, Captain. I got to say it was. All right. Jack Knight Starman writes, but with Sith marketing, most people knew the story. What we got was just a disappointing, unevenly written and performed story. I like Life as a House, but Hayden just struggled with his performance twice. I'm not quite sure what it is you're saying. What are we talking about, Jack? With Sith marketing, what is Sith marketing? Most people knew the story. What we got was just a disappointing, uneven... Are you talking about Revenge of the Sith? Like the third of the prequels? I'm not really clear. I'm going to assume that for a second. I'm just going to assume we're talking about Revenge of the Sith for a second. But with Sith marketing, most people knew the story. That we got was just a disappointing, unevenly written and performed story. I like Life as a House, but Hayden just struggled with his performance twice. I'm not really sure what the point is you're making. With Hayden in My Life as a House, that was his best performance of his career. And if I'm not mistaken, I need to look this up. I believe he got nominated for a Golden Globe for that. Hold on a second. Not that I have much regard for Golden Globes, but I believe he got a Golden Globe nomination for My Life as a House. Let me just bring it up here and double check. Yeah, 2002, he got nominated for Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role in a Motion Picture for My Life as a House in 2001. And it was the best performance of his career. It was the best performance of his career. I don't really blame him for his performances in the Star Wars prequels because he was working with a director who's, by their own admission, George Lucas's own admission, he doesn't even like working with actors. There's this famous story that Ron Howard tells, where when they were working on American Graffiti together, George Lucas had heard that Ron Howard was aspiring to be a director as well. And Ron Howard tells a story about how George talked to him and said, "Oh, do animation. You got to get into animation." Really? Why? Because then, it's open world. You can do whatever you want to do, and you don't have to deal with actors. And Ron Howard's like, I was an actor in his movie, and he's sitting there telling me about how great it would be to not have to work with actors. So, so I don't really blame Hayden a lot for that. A good Canadian kid, by the way. I have to confess, so I haven't really liked him in anything else either. I really haven't liked him. I haven't been impressed with any of his performances since then, but him in My Life as a House, I actually thought was quite good. So where that potential has gone, I'm not sure, but it'd be great if he could make some sort of a comeback on that sort of a level. Huevos Rancheros writes, do you think that, if not for the emergence of comic book movies over the last few years, the movie industry would be struggling? Yes. Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt. The movie industry, let me get more specific. Particularly with the traditional movie industry, with theater going, which is where most of the money comes from in the movie industry. Even with the huge blockbusters, there is still some decline. So there's still a little bit of struggle. Not terrible, but there's still a little bit of decline, even with these big giant movies. And when these big giant movies don't hit, nothing else is there to make up for it. And I remember in my days at AMC when a big blockbuster movie would come out and it would underperform, it sent shivers through the entire company because there's nothing else coming down the pike that's going to make $500 million to bring these people into the theaters and stuff like that, and it would hurt. So absolutely, sir, like if it was not for the comic book movie industry right now, the comic book genre, the movie industry would be in a lot of peril right now. A lot of peril. Anyway, that's just my thought on it. All right, Samuel Phoenix writes, most watched movie, I'm assuming you mean this for you, When a Stranger Calls, 2006, Back to the Future 2, Black Christmas, the 2006 edition, and Beauty and the Beast. Dude, holy crap. I watched the crap out of Beauty and the Beast so many times. And it's funny that you put it that way, most watched movie, because my most watched movies aren't necessarily my favorites. When it really comes down to it, probably the movie I have watched the most is probably Zoolander. Now, you maybe wonder why. Well, number one, I really do like Zoolander. I think the first Zoolander is hilarious. But for a very, very long time, I'm the type of guy that when I go to bed, I need something on. I need either a radio playing or a TV playing quietly or something. I just need something that distracts my brain and turns my brain off, you know? And so I have a hard time falling asleep when it's just a plain dark room with no sound, which is how most people like to go to sleep. I actually have a problem with that. So for a very long time, years, my going to sleep routine would be popping in Zoolander. Just because I know Zoolander inside out and backwards, and so it was easy. It would be on and I would hear it, but I wouldn't have to pay attention to it because I knew it inside out and backwards anyway. So it was just a nice little background noise to turn off my brain and help me fall asleep. So I'd be awake for 5 or 10 minutes of it, and on nights that I had a hard time falling asleep, maybe an hour of it. But I have seen Zoolander hundreds and hundreds of times, so that's probably mine. All right, here. Coolsome XD writes, done Christmas for nephews, Final Fantasy 15, Ukulele, Doctor Who, punctuation. Anyway, done Christmas for nephews, Final Fantasy 15, Ukulele, Doctor Who comic for 8-year-old, a xylophone you hit balls into with a mallet for the noisy 2-year-old. Well, dude, if you are finished, seriously, if you are finished your Christmas shopping in October, salute. I am one of these stereotypical men that my Christmas shopping is usually done either frantically on Amazon 1 week before Christmas or frantically in the mall like 48 hours before Christmas. I'm not a Christmas Eve shopper because I never want to go into malls or shopping areas on Christmas Eve. Never want to do it. But like 48 hours before Christmas, that's totally mean. If you've got it done, sir, salute to you. You're doing life right. All right. Captain Vice writes, this time last year, I was fighting cancer and wasn't sure I'd still be here. I am now in remission, and my wife and I got tickets for The Rise of Skywalker. I'm excited. Dude, that is so awesome. First of all, I've got a friend, you know her, Erin Cummings, who herself is a cancer survivor. And she is now, last I heard, completely cancer-free and all that kind of stuff. And what a triumph. Dude, what a triumph. And what a story to tell. And it's so fun on top of the glory of that victory. It's so fun that you can now, I can only assume and guess it makes moments like this even sweeter. Like, I am here to see The Rise of Skywalker. I was here to watch Endgame. I'm going to be here to see the Eternals and the new Batman and the new James Bond. And I'm going to be here for that. That on top of the magnificent, glorious victory you had, it must make these little things even sweeter now. And that's awesome, dude. And thank you that's really special. Thank you for sharing that, Captain Vice. I really appreciate that, dude. And here's to your victory, sir. All right. Russell Amador writes, Palpatine or Thanos, villain of 2019, who you got? Well, I mean, I can't compare because I've seen Thanos. I haven't seen Palpatine. For all I know, Palpatine's going to be in this movie for 2 minutes. So I don't know. I'll say this, though. Thanos of 2018 was better than Thanos of 2019. It's just, I found Thanos a much more compelling character in Infinity War than I did in Endgame. Now, that's fine because Endgame shifted focus. So that leaves a very nice opening for Palpatine to come in. But since I can't really make a call because I've seen Thanos, but I haven't seen Palpatine, so can't make a call yet. Right now, the villain of 2019 is Joker. Let's just be clear about that. Right now, the villain of 2019 is Joker. All right. Jack Dries writes, got Star Wars tickets for opening Thursday at 6 p.m. in IMAX Laser at perhaps the largest IMAX in New England. Dude, I tried. I went to my AMC Burbank 16 so I could buy tickets in person. Because when Endgame launched their ticket sales, and everybody had trouble getting tickets, and a bunch of people still had trouble getting tickets for Rise of Skywalker. I had a bunch of you guys back when Endgame was on sale telling me, I just went to the movie theater and I bought my tickets no problem. So I took some of your advice. I was down watching the Patriots game right beside the AMC Burbank 16. When the tickets went on sale, I just walked over to the AMC Burbank 16. Tickets, please. Tickets, s'il vous plaît. And bought tickets. Now, but even though I was right there when they went on sale, my top 3 choices for theaters in the AMC Burbank 16 were already sold out. The Dolby, the Prime, and the IMAX. All sold out. So I got a 6 p.m. in one of their regular theaters, and that's fine. It's I'll get to watch it in the Dolby and Prime later in the weekend, I'm sure. But that's what I got. But I'm glad you got yours, man, Jack. I'm glad you got yours. All right. DaveXP writes, Paul Dano's meltdown scene in Little Miss Sunshine is truly a masterpiece for me. Excited to see what he does with the Riddler. Dude, I mean, and he's great in everything. Love and Mercy is off the charts. Good. But everybody overlooks his performance in There Will Be Blood because he was acting alongside the greatest actor of all time in Daniel Day-Lewis, giving the best performance of his career. And because he was acting alongside the greatest performer of all time, giving the best performance of his career, in my opinion, a lot of us overlooked the brilliance of Paul Dano's performance in that movie. He's frickin' insanely good. Insanely good. And it's really neat to see him get a high-profile role like this. So it's going to be neat to see how this all pans out, Dave. All right. Coolsome XD writes, Rob's Force Ghost powering up Rey to beat Palpatine idea was done in Sailor Moon. Well, it's been done in many other places. Like, it was also done in, there's this new Something Texas show on NBC about a guy who can see dead people and he gets channeled the power. We've seen that happen a lot. Now, I've never seen a single episode of Sailor Moon. I got to admit, I've never seen a single episode. But I'm not surprised it would happen there. I'm sure it's happened in 1,000 other things too, where people channel their power into one person to steward their power. I'm sure it's been done many times, Coolsome. So I'm not surprised that it was in Sailor Moon, and I'm not surprised it's been about probably a dozen other things too. Corey Harper writes, did you hear about the South Park bidding war? Yeah, so what's going on here is that the streaming rights for South Park and its whole catalog are up for bid right now. And there are 6 major players. And the industry right now is saying South Park could get up to $500 million just for the streaming rights to their show. Just for the streaming rights to their show. Now, apparently, the only major player that backed out was Netflix because I guess the price tag got too high. But according to the reports, there's still 6 other players. It's insane, Corey. It's absolutely insane how big those numbers are. Mark C. writes, Rob, The Mandalorian isn't having a Tarantino standoff. That, sir, is a Sergio Leone standoff. I expect better, sir. Well, I mean, Mark, you got to give Rob a little bit of a break there because, I mean, Quentin Tarantino's standoffs are heavily influenced by Leone's standoffs, right? So it's kind of, it's in the same family. It's in the same family. Come on, dude. Cut him a little slack. Cut him a little slack. But you're right. All right. Troy Taylor writes, I just hope Finn gets a better plot, wasted potential. Oh, I agree. One of my big pet peeves of The Last Jedi, and I have a couple. I like the movie very much overall, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stick my head in the sand and pretend like there aren't some significant problems with the film. One of them is the whole Finn storyline. It was totally weird. Now, I liked his interaction with Rose, but I just felt I thought both of them were wasted. I thought really both of them were wasted. You could have done something pretty cool with them in that movie, and they just didn't. And I'm with you, man. I think that is one of the weaknesses of that film. I hope they give Finn a little bit better of an arc in this one. Hoser Miaz writes, Chewbacca or C-3PO dying in this film? It looks to me like C-3PO is about to go. I mean, just in the trailer, just wanted one last time, take one last look at my friends. It sounds like he's going. I'll take one step further. I think, no insider information here, just, I'm just guessing. I think there is a chance that 3PO, Chewbacca, and Lando on the Millennium Falcon die in this movie. I think the Falcon goes out in a blaze of glory. That hunk of junk is an old ship at this point. I think the Falcon goes out in a total blaze of glory, saving the day or something like that. And I think Lando and Chewie are going to be on that ship, and maybe 3PO too. What a moment that would be. It's got anything will be better than the stupid EU novels where Chewbacca died by being hit by a moon. Anything will be better than that. But I suspect, I'm not putting money on, I'm just saying I suspect the Falcon with Chewie and Lando and maybe even C-3PO on board goes out in a big blaze of glory saving the day. I don't know that for sure. I'm just guessing, but we'll see what happens. All right. Ladislav Misanik writes, everybody calm down. There will be an international trailer during November. It's possible, but even if not. They are officially calling this the final trailer. Just so we're clear. They are officially calling this trailer the final trailer. But even then, you know there's going to be 7 or 8 more TV spots, right? Maybe no more trailer, but there's going to be more TV spots. So there's going to be more marketing. But I got a feeling that was the last trailer. Just because they're saying it is. Maybe it's not, but they're saying it is for now. So for now, I'm just going to take them at their word. All right. Black Bono Lala writes, I finally joined the A-list and got my ticket, dude. Honestly, I've said it many times. I will say it again. AMC A-list is the greatest thing to ever happen to film fans. Now, look, if you're somebody who goes to the movies like once a month, AMC A-list is not for you. There's probably not a lot of value there for you if you only go like once a month. But if you even go twice a month, it is something you got to get because you're going to save money. And then all those times, there have been so many times that even my buddy Soul has been like, hey, I'm in downtown Burbank. Let's just go to a movie because I got A-list. So let's just go. You know, there's so many people who are now telling me that they go to see so many more movies now because they have A-list than they did. And they're discovering new forms of cinema and all that kind of stuff. Dude, it's just the best. I'm glad you got yours. That's awesome. All right, Santez Henderson writes, the trailer was meant as a goodbye to this world. It's not bad, but not as epic as I'd like it to be with the plot to push it forward. It's what was needed. Yeah, no, I just feel like the one thing kind of missing from this trailer was tell us what the movie's about. Give us a little bit of dramatic purpose. You know, Rob made a great observation this morning. Like with no character interaction, with no story, one of the big final shots of the trailer is this big close-up of Rey's face looking really concerned. Very dramatic shot. But there's no emotional connection to that because I don't even know what's going on. I have no idea what this movie's even about, so I had no idea what the purpose of Rey standing there. Look, I've said this before a lot about Transformers movies. Screen action without narrative purpose is just visual noise. Screen action without narrative purpose is just visual noise. Without telling us at all about what the story is or what's going on in the trailer, without giving us any context of what's going on in the trailer, there's a lot of great visuals, but ultimately it's just visual noise. Entertaining visual noise, some moments that gave me some chills, visual noise, but visual noise nonetheless. There was no dramatic or emotional part other than maybe Leia getting the final line. It's great otherwise. I'm with you, Sentez. I think they just needed to add that little bit to it. All right. Illiterate Book Club. I love the name. That's great. Illiterate Book Club writes, Rey and Kylo are destroying a statue of Han. No redemption. Yeah, there are some people saying it was a statue of Darth Vader. I never caught that, but I'm going to have to go through it frame by frame. Maybe it is. I love that, though, because Rob is stoutly against any redemption for Kylo Ren because he killed Han. So I love that idea. Rey and Kylo are destroying a statue of Han. That's it. No redemption for anybody. I love it. Good one to Literate Book Club. All right. Big Cope 76 writes, imagine seeing Palpatine and Luke fighting in a lightsaber battle. I'm telling you, look, drop my pants in the theater and start masturbating like a wild monkey right there. It would be awesome to see. I just don't think, was that too much information? I just don't think it's going to happen. But I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'd love it, but I just don't think it's going to happen. But oh God, that would be great. There's no doubting that would be great. Rod V66 writes, what are the chances Ezra shows up with a pod of space with a pod of space rails ready to do battle? For those of you who have no idea what Rod V is talking about, a little Star Wars show called Rebels, which I enjoy. It's a little hit and miss. There were some seasons that were better than others, but I enjoyed it overall. Quite like certain parts of it, actually quite a lot. Anyway, one of the things I really hated was the magic space whales. That, for those of you who saw Rebels, you know what I'm talking about. Oh my, you know what, Rod? I'll go so far as to say this. If I'm in that movie and all of a sudden Ezra shows up riding a pod of giant magic space whales, I'm probably going to look directly at the screen and go, thank you, and check please, and I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk out of the theater. I think at that point, because at that point, I just wouldn't be able, not in angry protest, but just at that point, I know my mind will be completely checked out of the movie. I just won't be able to enjoy the rest of the movie. If Ezra Bridger shows up riding a pod of magic space whales, I'm out. I'm just checking out because I know I'm not going to be able to get myself back into the movie at that point. So oh dude, what a nightmare. Now I'm going to be paranoid. Thanks a lot. Now I'm going to be paranoid. All right. Let's see. Truth is, writes, The Rock in the Jungle is my favorite movie genre. Oh, we had Jumanji and now we got Jungle Cruise. I love Jumanji. Love that movie. I gotta admit, I'm not on board yet with this Jungle Cruise movie. They did a great presentation at D23, and they did like two different versions of the trailer. One from The Rock's perspective, one from Emily Blunt's perspective. And I didn't really get into either of them. But the chemistry that Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson are on stage together, and they were on stage, and they have great dynamic between them. I love the dynamic, but I gotta tell you, I'm still not on board yet. It's The Rock, so I'm gonna give it a shot because I love The Rock. And I do love Jungle Book, or I do love Jumanji. But I'm not yet on board with Jungle Cruise yet. We'll see if that changes. All right, Adam K. writes, are you surprised that Joker only has a 68% on Rotten Tomatoes? No. Because in as much as I love it, you'd have to be an idiot not to watch that movie and realize this isn't going to be for everybody. That's not a movie that's going to be for everybody. Is it a little lower than I would expect? Yeah, maybe a little, but really not all that far off. I love this film. Love it. It is my number one favorite comic book based movie of the year, even more than Endgame. But surprised this is 68, roughly 7 out of 10? No, not surprised. It's just a movie. It is clearly not a movie for everybody. And so we should not be surprised that not everybody loves it. Just that simple. At the end of the day, 7 out of 10 critics like it. And that's pretty good. That's actually very solid. But you can tell watching the movie that, yeah, I love it, but this won't be for everybody. So knowing it's not going to be for everybody, we shouldn't be surprised that there are some people, including critics, 3 out of 10, that it doesn't work for them. Not really surprised that much. Brandon Blake writes, has Marty and Francis reviewed the Star Wars trailer yet? It's not real cinema. Anyway, you know what? Seriously, God, oh my God, I would pay money. I would pay money to subscribe to a Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese weekly review show of popular movies. Oh my, I would pay $10 a month to subscribe to that weekly podcast. It could be the greatest thing ever. I'll pay up. I'll pay up. I'm sure there are a million other people who would too. Come on, Marty. You get a million people signed up for your podcast at $10 a month. It's $10 million a month. Then you can pay for your own damn movies. Because I would listen to that. I think that'd be hilarious. Soo Theists writes, my wife is not into movies. My younger two are toddlers. I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, I think I remember. Wait. Yeah, because earlier on the show you wrote in that you're taking your one kid, but not your wife and your other two kids. I'm like, come on, man, take them all. But I get it. So your wife's not into movies, and your younger two are just too young. Okay, now I get it. That makes more sense. All right, Min Tran writes, in fairness to the final Rise of Skywalker trailer, did Force Awakens and Last Jedi trailers show anything about the movie? Yeah, they did. I went back today and rewatched, particularly the final trailers. And yeah, I got a sense of what the story was. They didn't give away massive plot spoilers, but I got an idea of what the story was. You go back and watch those trailers, and as much as I don't like the prequels, the trailers for the prequels did a really good job of that too. You always got a sense of what's the basic story. Still tons of surprises, but what's the basic story? And yeah, they did. I went back and watched those trailers again. Kinky Sphincter, what a name, writes, yep, AList did an hour early for me. Nice. Got the same seats for this as I did for all the new films. Seeing it at a Regal 2 same day and Alamo Drafthouse the next morning. Can't wait. Sucks. John Williams. Guys, please don't use acronyms because half the time I won't know what you're talking about, but I'm guessing you mean John Williams scored. Yeah, this will be it. This is the final Star Wars movie that John Williams is going to be conducting. And I don't think he's going to be, I think he's been dropping a lot of hints that he's retiring very soon. I think imminently he's going to be retiring. He's already cut back a lot. And, but I like your strategy there. You're going to see it in 3 different theater chains. So those are going to be 3 different experiences with the same movie. I like your approach there, Kinky. That's great. And yeah, there's going to be a bitterness to it, knowing that this is the last time we're going to watch a Star Wars movie and the music that's going to be accompanying it is the great John Williams. It sucks, but it's also great at the same time. I'm glad we got this one more. All right, Ben Rayner writes, the quote is from the last line crawl in Spaceballs. Oh, I remember. So somebody wrote in earlier, if you can read this, you don't need glasses. And I remember that's from Spaceballs. But I couldn't remember if it was one of the bumper stickers or last line in the crawl. Yeah, I knew it was from Spaceballs. I just couldn't remember exactly where it was from. All right. Sharper Travel writes, what is AMC charging 5 to 10% more for Star Wars tickets? I've heard nothing about that. I've heard nothing about that. So, I mean, I could look into it, but I haven't heard that at all. I haven't heard anybody talking about that at all. Jesse writes, my dad's been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Maybe. My dad's been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I've been watching off and on. He's now at season 6. Must be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's now at season 6, and I have to agree with you that it's garbage. So many dumb choices and bad writing. Glad I didn't get too invested in it. I mean, dude, listen, I was so on board with that show. And listen, I'll watch anything with the great Clark Gregg. I think Clark Gregg, who plays Agent Coulson, is honestly a national treasure. I'll watch anything with this dude in it. But they have written a terrible show. Now, look, no disrespect to anybody who likes it. If you like it, that's awesome. I will never try to dissuade anybody from liking it. If you like it, that is awesome news to me. That said, I've wanted to like it. I've tried to like it. I stuck with it, even though I hated it. I kind of hate-watched it. And it had its moments. I think it was the show's 100th episode that I was really impressed with. And it definitely had its moments. But yeah, when it's all said and done, this is just a train wreck, awful, awful show. I wanted to like it. I love the MCU. I love Clark Gregg. I really like Ming-Na. I just thought it was terrible. And I know there are a lot of you guys who like it, and that's great. I'm not poo-pooing on, I'm not, as Chris would put it, I'm not yucking on your yum. I'm not trying to yuck your yum. But if you're asking me, I just didn't like it at all. Wasn't for me. Just wasn't for me. But if you liked it, I'm glad you liked it. All right. Jake Air writes, congrats on your Patriots. Being a Jets fan is hard. I'll tell you what, Jake, I was a little bit worried about that game because the Jets straight up looked pretty damn good against the Cowboys last week. They look good. I mean, the Cowboys also look shaky, but I thought the Jets were looking pretty good. And so I was a little bit nervous going into this week, but you know what? Listen, your quarterback's been out for a while. He's young. The Jets have a good future, so hang in there, dude. All right. Robert Barishaj sent in our final question today, and he writes, does this trailer set up Ben giving his life for Rey? I don't think so. I don't think there's any redemption for Kylo Ren. So I don't think so. I think they fight each other. I'll be honest with you. My guess is Rey kills Kylo, and then Rey confronts the Emperor. That's my guess. I know nothing. I'm just speculating. I'm not willing to put money on that. It's just a blind in the dark fan speculation. I think Rey finishes Kylo, and then she confronts the Emperor. I could be wrong. I'm not even willing to put a single dollar on that, but that's my little guess right now. So who knows? We'll have to wait and see. All right, guys. That will do it for today's installment of the companion video. We are now all caught up on all the questions that came in a little bit earlier. Thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions, not just because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but you supported the channel while you were doing it. And myself, fact checker Jonathan, Ray, Chris, Rob, Aaron, we all thank you for your support and being a part of this. And I hope you enjoyed yourself as we sit here and talk about movies. Didn't have to agree with anything I said. That's fine as long as we just get to talk movies together. So thank you, everybody, for all that. Don't forget, tomorrow is a big day. We got the John Campea Show in the morning with me, Robert Meyer Burnett, and Erin Cummings. So Erin's now back from her 3 weeks away of shooting Dynasty. So she was shooting Dynasty for 3 weeks. She's now back. So we're going to have her on the show tomorrow. And then in the afternoon, because it came back last week, the new episode of The Weekly Hero with me and Robert Meyer Burnett, and I hope you guys will join us then. All right, guys, that will do it for me for this installment of the companion video. Thanks so much for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.